For 2 decades, Doctor Who was stuck languishing in a purgatory of obscurity. The once beloved TV juggernaut was now being increasingly viewed as a sweet little relic of 20th century British television, with its corny acting, cheap effects, and general lovable charm. However, this all changed in 2005 when the first 13-episode-long revived series catapulted Doctor Who back into popularity, the public falling in love with the show all over again. Thanks to the work of Robert Shearman and showrunner Russell T Davies, the Daleks had also seen a resurgence in popularity. But with the second series looming and expectations high, how would Davies satisfy Dalek fans once again? At the end of Series 1 of the Doctor Who revived era, the Daleks were defeated for good and the 9th Doctor, portrayed by Christopher Eccleston, regenerated into the 10th Doctor, played by David Tennant. The 2005 Return of the Daleks had been so successful that even though the Doctor had changed his face, his greatest enemies were practically guaranteed to return in the 2006 series. But how could you possibly up the ante and keep the Daleks fresh after their previous 2 critically acclaimed appearances? The answer to this conundrum lay all the way back in 1967, only 4 years after the first ever Doctor Who episode.
Emotions, love, pride, hate, fear. Have you no emotions, sir?
The Cybermen are another iconic staple villain of Doctor Who, second only to the Daleks themselves. The Cybermen are a race of terrifying cyborgs without any emotion whatsoever. They first appeared in the 1966 serial The 10th Planet, and have given children nightmares ever since. Towards the end of 1967, the Doctor Who production team were increasingly interested in the creepy, cybernetic monsters created by Kit Pedler, the unofficial science advisor to Doctor Who, and story editor Jerry Davis. An idea was hatched to bring together the Cybermen and the Daleks for an epic serial. However, on December 5th, when the team presented the idea to Dalek creator Terry Nation, he refused the request. The idea of the Daleks and Cybermen together would be discarded and left to the cruel winds of time until 2006. During pre-production of Series 2, showrunner Russell T Davies needed to find a way to finish with a bang, bring back the Daleks, and most importantly, write Rose Tyler out of the show due to actress Billie Piper wanting to leave after her second series. Davies knew that it would take something big to separate the Doctor and Rose. It would be too demoralising to straight up kill Rose. In order to achieve these goals, Davies decided to kill 3 birds with 1 stone. He was going to finally realise his predecessor's dreams of Daleks and Cybermen appearing together in a Doctor Who story. The story in question, Army of Ghosts and Doomsday, is a hugely significant point in Doctor Who, and more specifically the larger Dalek story arc during the Russell T Davies era. The 2-part story introduced the Cult of Skaro, whose story arc would only be concluded years later at the end of Series 4. The Cult of Skaro are an elite order of Daleks dedicated to thinking like their enemies to find new ways of ensuring the survival of the Dalek race. The Cult of Skaro was set up by the Emperor of the Daleks. Remember him? See? It all links.
Again, it's like poetry, sort of they rhyme.
And comprises of 4 Daleks: Dalek Sek, Dalek Khan, Dalek Thay, and Dalek Jast. This alone is a marked departure from the norm, as Daleks almost never have names due to them not having imagination. It was definitely an important decision to create and introduce the Cult of Skaro, because it allowed the integrity of the Time War to persevere. It would, after all, be hard to take seriously if Daleks from the Time War were constantly appearing. It is much more believable with the idea of only 3 independently surviving sets of Daleks. Army of Ghosts and Doomsday also revisit a detail from all the way back in Dalek. Remember the time traveller's touch from that episode? That makes a dramatic return in Doomsday and has much deadlier consequences. At the beginning of the episode Doomsday, the Cult of Skaro appear in dramatic fashion, bringing with them the mysterious Genesis Ark. This enigmatic object is stolen Time Lord technology that requires the touch of a time traveller in order to activate. Not only does this link back to the catalyst of Dalek, but it also gives a good reason for the Daleks appearing in London in the 21st century, because it would be the most likely time and place to come across the Doctor. This little detail was not made more explicit, however, due to Davies believing that it would pile too much grief upon the Doctor, because it would make him responsible for all the deaths during the episode, of which there are a lot. The Genesis arc also gives a reason for the Daleks being an actual threat. Even though one lone Dalek can destroy Earth, there are about 4 million Cybermen to go through, meaning the cult of Skaro pretty much stood no chance until the Genesis arc opens. In escaping the cult of Skaro at the start of Doomsday, Mickey Smith accidentally touches the arc, triggering its activation. It is then revealed that, thanks to Time Lord technology, there are 1 million Daleks inside, all prisoners of the Time War.
Time Lord science. It's bigger on the inside.
The Time Lords put those Daleks in there? What for?
It's a prison ship.
This instantly escalates things and raises the stakes significantly. Even though there are 4 million Cybermen, there are 1 million of the most deadly and powerful creatures in existence raining hell on London. Even though there were more Daleks attacking the Earth in Parting of the Ways, in Doomsday we are placed in the middle of the action, stuck in the eye of the storm. It really hammers home the threat of the Daleks by showing this more in-depth look at a Dalek invasion from the surface instead of a space station. Not unlike Parting of the Ways, defeating the Daleks comes at a cost. The Doctor is able to send the Daleks and Cybermen back into the void where they came from, but Rose becomes trapped in a parallel world. This is slightly similar to Parting of the Ways, where Rose destroys the Daleks, but the Doctor is forced to regenerate. This subtle mirroring of climaxes highlights the fact that the Daleks always take something from the Doctor, be it a regeneration or a companion. The bittersweet ending of the episode is furthered by the cult of Skaro escaping, fleeing the battle via a temporal shift, ensuring that Sek, Khan, Faye and Jast would resurface once again.
Emergency temporal shift!
The outcome of Doomsday is actually a stark reflection of the Time War itself. Doomsday is a mutilated victory where the Doctor defeats the Daleks at the cost of losing those he loves. Rose Tyler is lost on a parallel world which even the Doctor cannot go to. This almost perfectly mirrors the Time War, because the Doctor defeated the Daleks at the cost of losing his entire race. The Time Lords are trapped in the time-locked Time War, which even the Doctor cannot go to. And in both of these cases, the Daleks still manage to slip through the cracks and cheat death. On the 16th of June 2005, before Series 2 had even started production, the BBC announced that Doctor Who had been recommissioned for a third series. The series in question was actually more important than most people remember. This is mainly because it was the first time in the new series that the main companion would be replaced, with Martha Jones replacing Rose Tyler. This is a story for another time, but I must say, justice for Martha. The series had to find a way to bring the Daleks back for a fourth time, whilst maintaining their legitimacy and keeping them from becoming stale. On top of this, their presence in the series wasn't a surprise anymore, thanks to News of the World leaking it on 12th of November 2006. Great job, guys. This resulted in an uphill struggle for Russell T Davies and his team, especially now that Dalek fatigue was setting in for the general audience. Russell T Davies decided that it was time for a Dalek story to be set in the past, having previously set them in the present and future in the first two series. He was also inspired in part by the success of the 1967 serial The Evil of the Daleks, which was set all the way back in 1866. Davies then decided to set this new two-part story in New York City in the midst of the Great Depression, and to focus the story around the genetically engineered nature of the Daleks, a theme also used in Evil of the Daleks. The 1967 serial centres around the Daleks searching for the human factor in order to make themselves stronger. The Daleks want to spread the Dalek factor throughout human history and convert all of humanity into Daleks. This theming will be explained in more depth later on. Despite contributing all of this to the story, Davies did not actually write either episode of this two-parter. The task initially fell to one Stephen Moffat, who fortunately declined as he was busy. Instead, Moffat wrote Blink. Talk about dodging a bullet. With Moffat unavailable, Davies turned to script editor Helen Raynor, who became the first, and to date, only woman to ever write a Dalek TV story for Doctor Who. Thus, Daleks in Manhattan and Evolution of the Daleks were born. Daleks in Manhattan and Evolution of the Daleks are often regarded as one of the weakest Dalek stories of the entire revived run of the show. It is certainly the weakest Dalek story of the Davies era, in part due to it not being a series finale like the last two stories they were featured in, meaning the stakes were much lower this time around. Despite this, the two-parter is still very significant for Doctor Who and the larger Dalek story arc during the Davies era. Daleks in Manhattan and Evolution of the Daleks not only continue the Cult of Skaro plotline, but the story revisits concepts introduced in the 2005 story Dalek, alongside the 1967 serial Evil of the Daleks. The main concept that these three Dalek stories share is that of human and Dalek hybrids. Helen Raynor draws heavily from these past stories, placing the Daleks in a unique position of needing to splice human and Dalek DNA to survive. This method of survival is similar to Parting of the Ways, but the actual execution mirrors Evil of the Daleks. In Evolution of the Daleks, the hybrids take the form of humans with Dalek brains, much like the character Maxtable in Evil of the Daleks. This story detail is significant because it doesn't just build on the themes from Dalek and Parting of the Ways, it flips them in order to see the theme of human Daleks from another perspective. It is also interesting to note that the Cult of Skaro and the Emperor of the Daleks both arrived at the same solution of continuing the Dalek race, albeit in opposite ways. The Emperor of the Daleks put humans into Daleks, whilst his elite order of underlings put Daleks into humans. Focusing on the hybridization of the Dalek species also allows the story to explore the hierarchy of the Cult of Skaro due to the Daleks' obsession with purity. Whilst their pursuit of absolute purity took a back seat in Doomsday, it is showcased as the central theme of Daleks in Manhattan and Evolution of the Daleks. The Cult of Skaro's leader, Dalek Sec, is the one who initiates the hybridization plan and uses himself as the first to test the process, becoming a humanoid Dalek, the first of a new species. Obviously, this goes against everything the Daleks stand for, creating dissent among the Cult of Skaro, who now see their leader as an impure, inferior form of life. To them, he is an abomination who betrayed the Daleks. Sec himself, however, is the opposite. Due to the Cult of Skaro having imaginations, Dalek Sec does not reject human emotion like the Series 1 Daleks. Instead of wanting to die, Dalek Sec wants to live more than ever, embracing these emotions because they allow so much more freedom. Rather than rejecting his humanity, Sec actually rejects his Dalek self. By giving himself emotion, Sec is able to see the Daleks for what they really are. He realizes that the Dalek way of life is futile and will only ever lead to death and destruction. Even though he had not intended to gain human emotions, Dalek Sec believed that it was a benefit, and that the only way for the Daleks to survive would be to adopt these emotions. Sec, although committed to his original species, began to resent Davros for making them the way that they are, knowing that the obsession with purity was the reason the Daleks were on the edge of extinction. This characterization of Dalek Sec is hugely significant because it is the first time in all of Doctor Who that a Dalek has genuinely rejected its instincts, creator and existence in favour of evolving and moving forward with pacifism and diplomacy. With this remarkable turn of events, it is of little surprise that the Doctor respects and even helps Dalek Sec. Both Daleks in Manhattan and Evolution of the Daleks develop and explore the relationship between the Doctor and the Daleks. When the Dalek presence is revealed, the Doctor is angry and bitter because the Daleks always manage to survive.
They survive. They always survive when I lose everything.
This line is in reference to past encounters such as the Daleks' Master Plan, Parting of the Ways, the Time War, and most recently, Doomsday. In all of these stories, the Daleks are destroyed at a cost. The Doctor loses companions such as Jack Harkness, Katarina, Sarah Kingdom, and Rose Tyler. He loses his own life and the lives of his whole species, yet the Daleks still come back every time. Daleks in Manhattan and Evolution of the Daleks are a rare example of the Doctor letting this all get to him. Usually, the Doctor keeps his emotions in check, bottling them up inside, but Doomsday was still very recent for him, and these Daleks are the same Daleks that caused the events in that story, meaning that the Doctor allows the pain and anger get the most of him, even telling the Daleks to kill him.
Then kill me! Kill me if it'll stop you attacking these people!
I will be the destroyer of our greatest enemy!
Then do it! Do it! Just do it! Do it!
After Dalek Sec becomes part human, the Doctor actually respects him, even agreeing to help with the experiment, albeit mostly due to the subjects already being brain dead and they cannot be saved. Nevertheless, the Doctor sees hope in Dalek Sec's rejection of the Dalek race, because this is a chance to finally end the Daleks for good without killing them. The Doctor even offers to use the TARDIS to find a new planet for the hybrids to start a fresh life on, to live freely as a brand new species. This is a very interesting take on the deeply complex relationship between the Doctor and the Daleks, being the first time in the show's history that the two bitter enemies have willingly worked together for a good cause. However, these dreams of a peaceful resolution would be cut short by the stubbornness of the Daleks. Just as Dalek Sec turned on his creator, the Cult of Skaro turn on their leader. The Cult of Skaro reject the new hybrid Dalek Sec, disgusted by his new anti-Dalek sentiment. They view him as an impure abomination who betrayed their race. They depose him because, unlike them, Sec opened his mind and saw the self-destructive path of the Dalek race. This is significant because it shows just how obsessed the Daleks are with purity. They would rather let their whole species go extinct than adapt to survive. Writer Helen Raynor draws heavily from old Dalek stories to craft a fascinating new interpretation of the Dalek race. She also plants subtle seeds for the Series 4 finale. For example, the Daleks are defeated by Human-Daleks, who have some of the Doctor's DNA, technically making them human Time Lord hybrids, albeit very slightly.
I got in the way of the lightning strike. Time Lord DNA got all mixed up.
This plays heavily into the conclusion of the next and final Dalek story of the Russell T Davies era. That story is set up at the end of Evolution of the Daleks because Dalek Khan escapes with another temporal shift, making it clear that the Dalek threat will return.
Because I've just seen one genocide. I won't cause another.
Emergency temporal shift!
Lastly, the deposition of Dalek Sec and his eerie prophecy also end up being relevant to the Series 4 finale, along with the more general themes of evolution and purity.
If you choose death and destruction, then death and destruction will choose you.
Overall, Daleks in Manhattan and Evolution of the Daleks are much better than most people give them credit for. They delve deep into the hybridization themes that had been subtly lingering since 2005's Dalek, whilst also exploring the themes of racial purity and people's refusal to adapt to things that they see as against their beliefs, even if the change is for their benefit. The two stories are an important pit stop between the high stakes of Doomsday and the colossal stakes of Journey's End. It also serves to lay important groundwork for the latter story, which is the culmination of almost 5 years of work.
I'm sorry, we're dead.